Welcome to Vega's World. I'm your most excellent host, JC Vega. We are back for another round of Power Rangers, so that means I am joined by...
Captain Aronova.
And the Music City Messiah, Caden Green.
Like as I said, we're going to go some more Power Rangers. This time around, we're going to do some, I guess, fan theories or what we would like to see with the story for Power Rangers. Could be any season. Doesn't matter. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, the deep dive on the what could have been, the what should have beens, and
What might have been.
what might have beens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to start off talking about Forever Red. Forever Red is almost like the moment in time that creates all this fan theory universe stuff because there's people coming back to Forever Red that shouldn't have powers.
Yes.
Right.
There's people coming back, or there's powers in Forever Red that don't make sense that they're being used, right? Because like Tommy's Zeo Red,
Yeah.
is like a retired power, or no, Turbo's a trash power, so it's not usable. Mighty Morphin Red is a burnt power, so it's shouldn't be usable.
The power coins
Well,
were destroyed.
we'll continue.
So all of these like fan theories kind of spread from there on how powers came back, how powers, how they were able to use them, and it almost like starts where this like Time Bureau-esque almost multi-plane universal like no main timeline. The world kind of veers off into different
It is
stories.
divergence. So, but see with the Jason powers though, like he only got his switched, right? Like he just transferred over to Rocky.
In one theory, yes. Like in most common theory would be that the powers have been switched, but
or duplicated because like in the episode
duplicated
they're
is
wearing
what's
the
happening
costumes,
here.
but I mean
right.
behind the
So they
scenes
both
wise.
have the morphers on, which would indicate that they both have the powers. The powers have been duplicated, but cannot be used simultaneously for too long, or it could damage
Chaos,
one way or the next.
Too much peak energy, kind of like that theory, I
Yeah.
guess.
Right.
With that, Kimberly and Kat.
So like,
Oh yeah.
that's why Kim and Kat couldn't use the powers at the same time. So ideally, Jason's could still be fine because it wasn't damaged, while Rocky's was destroyed.
Yes.
So that's that fan theory on why the Red Ranger power was still useful, which makes me wonder if they couldn't use, or if Carlos couldn't use the Mighty Morphin Morpher in his crossover.
Yes, but with Adam.
If Adam couldn't use his Morpher in space crossover, could Zach still have used his?
I would think so. If we're gonna if it's a copy, his morpher is still good because like I don't think they. I mean, I know the actors weren't there, so they had to keep the suits on and be like, "Hey, let's hide discrepancies." But in working with that in universe mechanics, I feel since it's a copy of those powers, he should theoretically be able to use it.
Right? Like, so if I made you a copy of a video game per se, and you used it on yours and your PlayStation blew up, that doesn't mean my PlayStation blew up, and it doesn't mean that my copy of the video game is bad.
Yeah.
So ideally, the Mighty Morphin powers belonging to Jason, Zach, and Trini are all useful still.
Yeah. Because I'm telling off of that, I know that this is it was a comic book, but it still works within the show universe somewhat. Kimberly still had her coin.
Yeah.
She was able to. They were able to manipulate it to where they would create a new team, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they'd have all the colors of the traditional Mighty Morphin team. But it was using like there was a hint of pink in it, so like I used some of her power still. So I guess it could be like that. They just like the grid as manipulate that
the power
into
coin
something
and grid
into a new function. So yeah, we're winging it, folks. This is just off the cuff.
That was one major thing that I always liked. To me, it's like, okay, this is the greatest crossover episode ever. But then it like poses a lot of questions. Like, wait a minute, how could Jason still have that power. And the jump from Zeo to Turbo, like what happens to the Zeonizers? Is that power still active? Like,
so the Zeo powers ideally only get stronger in time, so they become indestructible. They're just not being used because they're weak when they need them, so they get the turbo powers. So those Zeo powers are just sitting here like fermenting, like only getting stronger and stronger.
They would probably be the strongest team if they
technically right now they would be
them out right now.
Straight from the Zeo crystal, like the main power crystal right there, that like that's connected to the morphing grid. That's literally the rawest. That's like the strongest team, ideally. Yeah. So and they just like they jumped to Turbo
yep.
just because, they were weak at the time, but like they could have just gone right back to it. Like,
right.
Oh man.
See, all that begs the question too with the master morpher that Tommy has.
Yeah.
He's able to go through all his different iterations of his character, of the suits he had, which makes the Green Ranger. So like, did they fix these powers? What do you think the in-world theory of that is? Like, Billy?
This brings me to the Tom Oliver theory.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is what I'm here for.
All right. So season 2, like I think it's episode 40, somewhere in the 40s, is Return of the Green Ranger, right?
Yeah.
So they have a wizard who cuts a chunk of Tommy's hair and clones him.
Okay.
Right? And somehow they bring all the Rangers back to colonial times. And Tommy has to come back and fight himself. It's like a 3-episode series. But at the end of it, Tommy convinces the Green Ranger to be good. But you can't have 2 Tommies living in one universe. And we can't have the Green Ranger living in a White Ranger world, right? Yeah, so he just says, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to live in colonial times and protect this this place and get them back to life. Okay. I think that's where you have a splinter in time, and it starts like shooting off.
Oh yeah, that's
right. So you have Tom Oliver, because if not, then you're in a constant loop.
Would that be a paradox, so to speak? Because is that how Rita finds the coin?
Ideally, he's passing that Green Ranger coin generationally down.
Yeah.
So, and the only way, like, it's that Flash theory in the new Flash, where he goes back to save himself and he keep going back and he can't do it because it's like a fixed point in time. Yeah. So Tom Oliver is creating this whole family. 100 years later, we have the White Stranger, right?
Yes.
And the White Stranger happens like 6 episodes later, but it's like 100 years in that timeline. Yeah. So ideally, Tom Oliver's, 4-time grandson, because it's like 100 years, is the White Stranger.
Yeah.
Who probably at that point had the power coin, just didn't need to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was passed down, generate, so.
But how would we switch from the green power then to the white?
Why is he white? He's just white because he's white.
Could be the tale of Tommy. Future
tiger.
Tommy coming back could have been like a tale passed down from generation to generation.
And maybe there's a multiverse situation where the White Ranger decides to stay.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So then you have a White Ranger timeline going on, which gets me talking about Tom Oliver or Dr. Tommy Oliver from Dino Thunder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Dino Thunder takes place only 2 years after Forever Red.
Yeah.
In 2 years, how does a man go to college, get a teaching degree and a doctorate in paleontology so he can run a museum and then also teach out of school? How in 2 years is that possible?
No.
It's not, because that's not Tommy Oliver. That's Tom Oliver.
Okay.
Tom.
I'm liking this.
Or it's a second, it's a
life model decoy of Tommy Oliver.
It's a legendary of Tom. It's like a descendant of Tom. That's not Tommy.
Yeah,
but he's just going by the name Tommy Oliver.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
variant.
That'd be interesting.
This is the perfect time to get the TVA involved and
Right? And it's TVA stuff. We're dealing with,
freaking-
but that adds to the point where in the Super Mega Force crossover where they have all the Rangers there, they don't show you Tommies when they come to like them all standing up there. But there's multiple times in fighting scenes where you see the Green Ranger with Zeo Red behind him.
Right.
And you see like other versions of Tommy where there's two in a row. So that fan theory is that Tom Oliver is Black Dino Thunder
Okay.
and Tommy is only green, white,
Two red, turbo red,
turbo
Zeo.
red, Zeo red. And ideally I would say that Black Dino Thunder is debatably a green variant too.
Yeah.
That's why he knows so much about Power Ranger past.
I like that theory.
Thomas
I do.
Oliver.
I do. I like this.
That's money right there. That's
Right?
That's
a comic book miniseries right there.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah. Because
The
like
Tommy paradox. I don't know.
because time has already been explored in Power Rangers through Time Force.
So many different ways too.
Yeah, you know, and it's the year 3000. So,
Mhm.
man, Lord knows what they could have done.
And they move through the future a lot in Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So Time Force moves from 3000
3000.
to
One.
2001, right?
Yeah.
And SPD takes place in 2025.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and ideally there's a scene in
Next
SPD
year.
where you see Sky's dad in a photo and he's wearing an SPD badge on a Time Force uniform.
Yeah.
Right? So in that time period of almost 1,000 years,
The Time Force was created.
Time Force is created, and it links back to SPD.
Yeah, and we got a little tease of that in Once and Always with the Alpha Space Patrol. 'Cause they had a proto SPD.
Yeah, so
is
in
Adam and Aisha.
SPD there's what's it called A Squadron and B Squadron, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And A Squadron uses in space helmets.
Yes.
Right.
They're just modified a little bit
With that SWAT like gear they have.
with that squat gear. Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, though. They laid the groundwork for that. It's already kind of becoming a thing, the Space Delta Force. Or, is that what, I keep fricking up the name.
Space Patrol Delta.
Space Patrol Delta. Thank you.
SPD.
So, yeah, because Adam and Aisha are part of it, or the prototype.
And
Proto
once in a ring. Yeah, so it
organization.
all loops in together into this weird world.
Right.
So one fan theory talks about how this is used to create RPM. The dude who what's his name, Mr. Huntley, something like that. The father in this show.
Operation Overdrive for those listening.
We've got Operation Overdrive in the background to
Right.
to really, get us in the zone. So the dude reaches out to Alphabet Soup to create his own team of Rangers because he gets that crown, the crown of Aurora that's in this, and that's how he finds his way into the morphing grid, right? He uses Alpha to create that sort of thing, but he needs the powers, so he works with Alphabet Soup, which is where Doc K is from in RPM.
Yeah.
So ideally, this season is not only the worst season, it nearly ends the world
Look at that.
of Power Rangers. So it leads all
So
back to
bad.
that.
That you almost destroyed the whole universe, Overdrive.
Like people say
Way to go.
that Turbo almost ruined Power Rangers for good.
Yeah.
This season nearly ended the world in Power Rangers.
That's
Collapsed that universe. And Turbo is pretty good. I don't care what anybody says. I like Turbo.
I'm a mixed bag on Turbo, man.
Listen, I just think it was
I mean,
hardcore.
I will say it debuted the greatest Red Ranger of all time, TJ.
Yeah, TJ was awesome. Was he the greatest? I don't know.
Oh, no, he's the best.
It's up for
He's better than Tommy Oliver.
It's
I'm saying it
subjective.
right now.
I wouldn't go that far.
Drop the hot
We just
take.
established Zeo was the strongest.
Hey.
He just has
TJ
to pop
though.
that morpher back on, him or Thomas.
Yeah.
So with them sharing the same DNA, could they do that? Could they just like
Swap powers?
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, which would answer why Tommy could use the Green Ranger coin in the, what is it?
Is it Super Mega Force, or is it the?
It's the one with the Mega Morpher.
The Master. I forgot what season.
Yeah, I think that's
was that
Super Samurai or Super Mega Force.
Probably maybe Super Samurai.
I think it was after both of those. It was
I'm
Let me see.
when it
Ninja
comes
Steel?
to post Zordon era.
Ninja Steel. It was Ninja Steel.
Super. Yeah, Ninja Steel.
So during that Ninja Steel, he was able to use it because maybe he just has Thomas's Green Ranger coin.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Instead of having to deal with, like Billy repairing it, maybe he just has Thomas's that's been sitting around for so long.
So I didn't see that the Netflix special. I couldn't do it.
Couldn't handle it.
I couldn't get past the first scene, and I was like, "This isn't it." All right. And I think there was like a picture where like it just wasn't the Red Ranger in the middle, and for some reason I was just like,
what was it for you that you're just like, I can't do this?
Billy leading the team.
Sort of, kind of that. Like it's not traditional Power Rangers. It's not that structure I was used to.
Well, I mean, Austin St. John was preoccupied.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
At that moment.
So it wasn't like the traditional structure. So if you're going to go back to this traditional team, like you got to have that structure. I get why Billy could lead because the character development from Mighty Morphin to Zeo, but it just that first fight scene, like I don't know, you had Robo Rita, I mean,
I get why he let it because in production wise, he was the one that kind of spearheaded the Once and Always.
Yeah,
he pitched it. Well, he pitched it to be a mini series, but then they were like, "We're just gonna do the one
like an hour and a half movie, and that's it."
So I couldn't get past it. But
I'm glad it gave Zach and him more time, so to speak, because we didn't really get a whole lot with them as far as
together,
like main story guys as in the Mighty Morphin show.
Yeah, because Zach was almost always on his own in a way, or with Trini.
Because most stories were centered around Jason, Tommy, Kimberly.
Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna be honest, but like
I think like that like the Mighty Morphin structure was like individual, like. Every episode would be built around a different ranger.
Occasional, but like the main focus was like those three.
Well, they're the main main ones.
Yeah.
But I think everybody had an episode. Like they had an episode dedicated to their character.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But like going back to it, like I just want to. I can't really judge that much, but because I gave up the first scene, I was like, this isn't.
This ain't it for me.
That's why we brought you here. We're actually gonna make you watch it right now.
God, no.
That's actually the next episode we're doing is a watch along.
We should.
But how does Billy go back from Aquitar to being the Blue Ranger?
I feel with his intelligence, he probably manipulated the morphing grid in some way, or his morpher,
and just
to connect it.
Because who else was? Let's say they had Kat, who was two Rangers. Yeah. She had two suits after.
She was
three,
she was
right?
Mighty Morphin Pink.
Yep, Zeo Pink.
She was Zeo, and she was
Turbo Pink.
She was Turbo, yeah.
Ninjetti too, if you want to count Ninjetti.
Yeah,
that's not really a suit though. Ian, I guess it's another.
What happens to those powers? Do they just poof? Like how can
Ninjetti powers? I mean, I would guess they're internal in the Mighty Morph. That would be a time split or like a line split, right? A divergent, because those ninja powers happened after the three left, right?
Yeah.
So those powers don't have that updated,
okay.
even though they're trashed, right? So you wouldn't get Jason going Ninjetti.
Yeah, or Zach or Trini.
Yeah.
But Billy, I mean, I guess if Billy could recreate his morpher.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. What were you gonna say?
Well, I just feel like like if he managed to figure out how to make a flying car in '94, he managed to reverse himself back in time,
he was ahead of his time,
to be back to being a young adult man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like he would figure out a way to like.
Could he have been the one to
orchestrate the?
Maybe him and Tommy could have worked together to make the Master Morpher.
I could see that.
Ideally, yeah.
Ideally, yeah.
Because we still got like a bunch of alien technology here that just
Right.
like is introduced to these teenagers at this
Right.
young age. So
And even the theory was like he was the one who helped with Zordon design the turbo powers before he left the show, obviously.
yeah,
So I feel like if we were going to go with that idea, if he had a hand in orchestrating that and developing those powers, he could go back and restore people's powers to be back in the morphing grid. Of course, it takes a while. So like, even after season's end, it's
he was more hands on with Alpha. So like, he would be the one to do it.
Dude, a story with him, the character Billy, I would love is if like. This might be controversial for y'all. Maybe a little bit. I don't know about that one, brother.
Disclaimer alert.
Yeah. But I feel since like in the show recently, he's been on the quest to find Zordon. That was what part of his thing in Once and Always. He was trying to find like the floating particles of Zordon from the Good Wave, which brought in Rita because it got her essence out of there. I feel like in this sense, in the story that I've been thinking about. Is he develops his own corporation, developing research, kind of like a Tony Stark type of empire, Stark Industries thing he's got going on, and he becomes somewhat of a villain, so to speak, because he's obsessed with trying to bring back Zordon, and like he becomes like a wanted fugitive from Time Force and Space Patrol Delta. I feel like that would be an interesting story to like play out of him just being like. Of course, this is a little bit more nuanced for Power Rangers, but if we had it our way, this is if everything was perfect.
If Vega had the books here,
if I had the budget and the money and the hey,
and
you
the
got
books.
the pen, you got the pen, write the story for us. That would be something I would do with that, like play with that, like. Introduce like the Black Chrono Ranger, Time Force Ranger from the comics, the Sins of the Future. Have that character work with him. Because I'm not gonna give it the whole thing. Some of this is on the fly right now, but like
shooting, brother.
I feel like that would be an interesting story to see like a Ranger go from good, not bad necessarily, but I guess morally gray. Would it be a better take on it? Because he does some things that are like. Rangers would be like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, pretty questionable, but it's.
It's like, hey, I'm trying to find Zordon. And that just, I don't know. I feel like that would be an interesting story to tackle.
Yeah.
Because again, that's just based off of like him in the show, just being like, I gotta find Zordon. You gotta tell me what you know.
That's a good seed right there, and like that obsession of just. If there's a possibility that he is out there and we could bring him back,
right?
We're gonna do anything.
And that's why like, he becomes a fugitive for like Time Force because he goes back, he goes in the future. And like, hey, Alex's sister is the Black Ranger, Time Force Ranger in that story. It's like, hey, we can fix the world too, where like your brother's back, the brother you knew and grew up with, is back, and you can help me.
Yeah.
Find the means to bring back Zordon. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Like, I've just been playing around. Like again, Hasbro, if you want, if you want to do this short mini series, I'm easy to please, brother. Just,
listen, his rate is cheap, brother.
Just give me the book.
Give brother the book here.
Let me do this little mini series or a comic book. Boom, holla at your boy.
Yeah, holla at JC Vega here. Get him on your committee right now.
What would be one of your like if you had your way, if the story like you would want to see?
Man, if I had my way,
And it could be like from like a continuation of a previous season, or it could be like an all new.
Ooh, or like a untied storyline that where do you think it went type situation.
Yeah.
Because I'm always fascinated with like. Final episodes in certain seasons to see where like okay, where are these Zords, where are these morphers, like we were talking about Zeo earlier, like they're untouched, like
right,
are they on their shelves just in a box in storage? Like this is like raw power here, like
like they're retired, so to speak. Like our job is done. That's an interesting thought too, because it's like do they continue to be Power Rangers in a sense? Are they
It's
just
almost like you're a cop,
chilling?
like
living life outside, like someone's a school teacher and they're like, oh shit, maybe I should get the morpher out, there's a school shooting, or whatever.
Essentially, like my thought is stuff like that, like, okay, like what if we had a character like a Phantom Ranger, but opposite of that, to where, because there's always a villain with like these deep means, and you watch some of these movies where they go back to try to harness some of this old power. Like, what if we had a ranger opposite a Phantom Ranger who was trying to like steal the Zeonizers, you know?
Okay.
Or the Dragon Zord was never really destroyed, it's still at sea.
Yeah.
What if they try to replicate a Dragon Dagger and try to use the Dragon Zord to destroy the city or something like that? Like,
that would be fun.
With it, when those seasons ends, like there's so much power, like just left right alone, like, you know, like a Dragon Zord, like the Zeonizers, stuff like that. So I would kind of create a character, or like an Ecliptor, like you know, bring Dark Spectre. I keep saying Ecliptor.
Yeah, you keep confusing those two characters.
Dark Spectre.
Dark Spectre, yeah, it's the Alliance of Evil.
Okay.
Head honcho.
Ecliptor. That's
Astronomers.
There we go. That's who I was thinking of. Going back to what I was saying.
Chaperone? Guardian?
Kind of. But there's a theory that Billy had created him.
Oh.
You know, so what if we had a character like that who some characters just don't have proper endings. What if they come back trying to get those powers, or try to take control of those old Zords that are floating around, essentially? You know, that'd
be fun.
That's the direction I would go. And then now you have these Rangers. Now, how do you combat that, or how do you recover those powers?
So this would be like a season long type of thing, like a new team.
Yeah, it could be a new team, or like the powers that be in Power Rangers. You know, how do you develop a new team to combat your old work? You know,
right?
That's the direction I would go if I had the book here. I would create a villain who is obsessed with harnessing those old powers and manipulating them and taking control of those old Zords that are just left on Earth, just collecting dust right now, or just rotting in the bottom of the sea, because you still have the Dragon Zord like that. Yeah, essentially is a powerful Zord that we just left.
Yeah,
you know,
kind of like how Serpentera was just like chilling out on the moon.
Yeah,
for all those years.
The Machine Empire. How did they destroy King Mondo, or was it his son who killed him? King Mondo of the Robot Empire.
I think he was killed, and his son just took over.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Sentai, he killed him. Like, it's the whole Game of Thrones,
regicide
type of thing. Like, I'm gonna be the one to rule.
You know, but you have like strong villains like that. Like, what if you had a King Mondo, you know, come back, and the whole Machine Empire never really was destroyed. Like, you still have the Machine Empire. Like, what if you just reactivate that, take control of the Machine Empire, and
what if Robo Rita restarts the Machine
oh
Empire?
My God, Robo
Ideally, like, so obviously there's not going to be enough space on Earth for us to have all these Zords that, like, you know, because if not, you would, like, they would be taking up all of California, right? Yeah. So what if all of these Zords broken down and like useless, or even the ones that just aren't being used, are on like a planet that Zordon has like decided like it's basically like the you pick and pull like auto dealer like place, like the auto parts place, but it's for Zords. Yeah. But nobody knows because maybe it's under a cloak or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
won't fall in the wrong hands,
right?
And plus Zordon's keen on like, I got this stuff that you don't know about.
Yeah. Like so it's like, you know, he's always been like a sneaky motherfucker, right? He's always been like, oh yeah, you guys are not doing good. Well, guess what? Now you got like lightsabers or like something wild like that, right? So it's like, what if there's a planet that holds all these Zords, holds all the like scrap pieces of destroyed monsters and the remaining pieces of the Machine Empire bad guys. But like the only way you can get on is having like a power coin or access to the morphing grid, right?
Yeah.
And maybe somebody goes rogue.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they start, maybe Billy goes rogue.
Yeah.
Because he's a genius, right?
Yeah.
And maybe Billy's over there putting together pieces of old monsters and old Zords and creating these like hybrid, like junked up pieces of like robot monsters. And like, obviously they don't all have to be like robots, but there's so many robot bad guys of the week that it wouldn't be hard for something like that.
What if,
that'll be sick.
And piggybacking off of that, he goes rogue. What if he works with Finster too?
Oh, and that brings you back the other, like, because maybe Finster is so jaded from working with Rita and all of them that he just wants to get away, and they both meet in that gray area of like two like not evil scientists, but two scientists that like have a plan. Like maybe Finster's plan is, I can do what Rita didn't do because she couldn't beat the Power Rangers, and maybe Billy's just lost his mind from this search for Zordon.
Yes.
And he's like, I've got to do anything because Zordon will come back if there's enough trouble. There's enough problems or something like that. So, and that leads to these two creating like ultimate, you know,
and ultimate evil, or
just that power army, like that cross, like even if it's like alien / robot type menaces, like you can, because I think like everything was like you had robots, you had demons, you know, there's so many layers you can like, but once you like combine them, then you got the ultimate fighting machine right here. You know, that I think that's brilliant.
Because each individual Zord had its own unique like weapon to board it. So like,
so we're just all gonna agree right now, Billy
goes evil.
Yeah,
Billy
rogue.
has to go. He's the perfect villain.
He is
hero turned villain. You know, because the obsession of trying to either find Zordon or bring Zordon back leads him down this dark path.
Yeah,
right.
I hope you're listening, Boom Studios.
Yeah.
Hasbro, again, get a hold of us.
Yeah, let's talk, brother.
Let's talk terms.
Let's talk rates.
Let's talk terms, brother. We're here to do the job.
We're cool with being co-showrunners with somebody who actually knows how to run a show.
Yeah, totally.
And in the whole writer's room, but like, come on, give us the bulk. Give us the bulk of the task here.
We're just
like you would like see a wrestling storyline and you'd be like, if this was me, I would have booked it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we're doing. We're fantasy booking Power Rangers.
Fantasy booking Power Rangers. This is what it is, and it's a strong enough, diverse universe,
right?
Where you could like the possibilities are, because there's just so much left behind, because it's just like a yearly thing.
Not every season the powers got destroyed. They just
they
just all right, time for the next thing. And that's another like, do they just retire at this point? They're like, there's this new team out there fighting for the world. I can retire.
Well, problem's gone. We don't have any more monsters here in Angel Grove. No need to worry about it. Okay, well, an hour and a half away at Reef Cove or something, you're like
Silver City or
but they have problems. And instead of you just being like, you guys want to move to like
obviously they take sabbaticals.
Shore Harbor.
Take a vacation after.
I mean, obviously they take sabbaticals because, like, in Legendary Battle episode from what season was that? Super Mega Force.
Yeah,
Legendary Battle Super Mega Force. Yeah.
So like, because like TJ and Cassie are like in their full on space suits, so like clearly they're still operating in some aspects. But I'd imagine like take breaks and stuff. A quick question that popped in my head, since I saw Kaku Ranger got a anniversary special season. What team would you want to see come back for an anniversary special season?
Now you're asking the hard hitting questions here. Truthfully, I would say Lightspeed Rescue, because the way they ended running towards the Dark Cloud. Like there was a dark cloud over the city, and there was like, all right, you got one more in you, and they just ran. So like
that's just how it ends.
that's just how it ends, running towards the dark cloud. And I think I would bring them back because Lightspeed Rescue to me is like that's such a job right there. Because I mean, they had the sea base, but I think the sea base got destroyed. But they were like essentially cops. That I think that was like the prototype to what would become SPD and eventually Time Force. So I think it'll start from Lightspeed Rescue. So I would bring that.
I think I would consider that different branches of like the government, so to speak, like law enforcement, if we're going that route.
So there's a fan theory that that Lightspeed Rescue, the main doctor from that, originally worked at Alphabet Soup during this time period that led to them creating the Overdrive Rangers and the RPM Rangers. And she left to build that undersea base to as a part of like the internal group. But like it's all like a big like a government underground like company, I guess, you know.
Right.
There we go. Who do you think runs it? Is it Billy?
I think it's Tommy.
Oh, Thomas Oliver.
Oh, maybe Tom. Maybe Tom.
Maybe
Not
Tom.
Tommy, but maybe Tom.
Tommy.
Maybe Tom's been working in the background this whole time.
Yeah, pulling the strings right there.
I dig it. I can go with that. What would be a continuation season for you, or like an anniversary season that you would like to see?
So we were saying that we said earlier that RPM takes place in 2025. So like
Next year.
That'd be this year, like or next year, right?
Next
so
year's
like
coming.
I would love to see it like the second season actually take place in 2025. It almost like sets itself up for that in a weird way.
Right.
And when did that actually take place? 2005?
RPM was 2009. What? No, 2000.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I want to say 2000.
2006. It took place in 2006 because they like
the year the show came out, or
the year the year the show came out
2009 was RPM.
Yeah.
was RPM.
Yes.
Oh, 2006 is when she started creating the Ranger. That's when she met up with Jem and Gemma to start creating the Ranger project. And that's why she calls the RPM Rangers Operator Series this, because the original versions, and you see it like in a throwback episode where they go back to where the villains go back to Alphabet Soup to see if they can find technology they can use to come back. They find the red Operation Overdrive helmet and it says prototype on it.
There you go. See, and there goes the thought again, going back in time to salvage some old technology left behind. What if they go back and they grab technology like the Zeonizers, the Turbomorphers? You know, there's so much power left that just left rotting on this earth.
If I had another continuation season or like a second sequel, like a sequel series, I think In Space would need to get one. I feel like
with the current events that they've shown in Once a Ranger, like take over from there.
That or just or we could even.
That was SPD though. That was like them forming what became SPD.
But I mean, the In Space crew was just like, I mean, maybe like, and this would have to be animated or something like that. Like we get like what they did after In Space too, because like in the Lost Galaxy they seem to be like operating still, or like on KO 35 at least.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I think they could also dovetail into, at least Andros would dovetail into my Billy story.
Yeah.
Because like Billy could also hold Andros responsible. I mean, he pretty much was. He destroyed the tube.
Yeah.
Zordon was in, so like he could hold heavy resentment towards him.
So maybe Andros comes back to lead the team that's fighting Finster and Billy's bad guys.
I like that.
They're getting old, so you gotta think about the next generation of your warriors, your fighters, right there.
Right, and I think that'd be an interesting thing because like have Andros destroyed the tube, but like Evil still showed back up. it popped up around the galaxy and on Earth. So it's like, man,
all it did was took care of the problems, the monsters that were at the time. Yeah. So like, there's still evil. There's always going to still be evil.
That would be fascinating to play with that too, because it's like, all right, you said like this would wipe out evil, but like, so like, but it still creeps up.
But that's how like Lost Galaxy, it was like the edge of the galaxy where like Zordon's, where that explosion stopped, and then right after that, then you have that space colony, and then you have that evil around it, you know, like Captain Mutiny and stuff.
But I feel that would be an interesting dynamic to play with. Like Andros is like kind of, I get maybe not PTSD, but like regret, so to speak. It's like, okay, I was. You told me to kill you to stop all this evil.
Yeah,
we've still got it around galaxies, the universe. So like.
That'll be a great
man.
take.
This was only a Band-Aid for like
a
year and a half, if that. Like
maybe a year. Because
that'd be interesting to play with again. Because like I don't think Billy could go full evil, or just like that shade of gray, where he's like doing things that are just not up to Power Ranger code.
Out of bound, not in that righteous. And then
we can even play with Fencer being more of like the evil, like more so evil, like true evil of the group, and like his like creations of like making monsters and like designing maybe like some sort of robot with like again like all the parts left over from Zords.
Could you imagine like remnants of Alpha, and then he can rebuild essentially like a whole crew of Alphas? Like what if he had like a whole deal of Alphas?
Yeah.
Well, there's multiple alphas that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we get introduced to Alpha 5, but then in space as Alpha 6. I think they use like Alpha 8 in Operation Overdrive or something like that. So there's pieces of these alphas. Like there was, what was the annoying alpha that like was all rappy? It was a rapping. I know that this Alpha 6 was like super high, like or no, it was like before trying to be hip or something.
Well, before that, he had a Brooklyn accent. Like
that's what it was. Yeah.
Like he was Rocky all of a sudden. Yo, Rangers.
Yo, was that Turbo?
I think it was.
I think it was Turbo.
Yeah,
of course it would be Turbo.
What's her face? Who spoke in questions all the time.
Starts with a Divatox's sister.
I forgot her name.
I know the actress.
She was my least favorite guide or super leader.
What's her name? Turbo.
Mentor. Oh god, there's a word I'm looking for. Mentor. I've been hit in the head too many times, people. But
look that up right now.
A Ranger team, like a mashup of Ranger team. Who would you pick for your 5?
So, like, let's say they do Once a Ranger.
Yeah.
Right now. Yes. So you could do anything, period, of all time.
Right. Yeah.
But you need to do a 5, and none of them can be the same colors.
Yes. None from the same team.
And none from the same team.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna go with RPM Black for my Black Ranger because he's my favorite Ranger of all time.
Yeah. Cyborg Ranger is pretty awesome.
So badass.
Way better than Operation Overdrive Red, who was also an android.
Yeah. Let's see. For yellow, I would grab Chip from Mystic Force because he's unique in his own way, and that would give you like magic powers as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I would take Pink from SPD because she was a badass, even though she was like a girly girl. Yeah. So that's pink, black, yellow. Red would be a hard one. It'd have to be like
a lot of good reds.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Oh, and then we're adding a 6th as well, right?
Yeah, we can throw in a 6th.
Yeah. All right. Red would be. Oh, this is hard. Andros.
Okay.
Andros was already a leader, and he was able to do it on his own. Pink, yellow, black. So blue. I would put Samurai Blue in there because he was intelligent, and That would be a pretty solid one. And then my 6th Ranger would be Orion from Super Mega Force because he had the powers to call on any 6th Ranger ever.
Yes, that's a good mashup.
Dig it. Nova, your team.
Right off rip, Jen
Jen on pink.
That is,
now you have a leader in pink.
Yeah.
Man, can they all be leaders, or I gotta have
So
one
you're
leader?
gonna
These
need
different
like
colors. I didn't specify. I didn't give
All
any
right,
parameters to it. Just
Man.
They
different
can't be
colors.
on the same team,
yeah.
and they can't be the same color.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so definitely Jen. Because she's the perfect ranger, like perfect leader, like out of the blue. Like she broke the prototype, essentially.
Yeah.
Jen on pink. Second in command. Oh man.
You could do a Rocky in this situation because he was used to being a Red Ranger that wasn't the leader.
I would go Sky from SPD for the Blue Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Sky.
Okay.
He was intense. I need soldiers because if we're fighting Billy's army,
we need soldiers.
Ooh, okay.
I need soldiers who could all lead essentially if needed. So Jen, Sky. So I got pink, blue, red. Red Ranger. I would say Leo from Lost Galaxy.
Okay.
That was a selfless, strong leader, and he was cool as hell. That's probably my favorite Red Ranger.
Mm-hmm. If you're looking for big leader energy, Yellow Wild Force.
Taylor was my next pick.
Yeah. There we go.
Taylor, yeah. She was intense too.
She was basically the leader of that group.
Yeah. And then they passed it to Cole. Like I think like the first episode, she like punched Cole in the ribs. I'm like, there she is.
There she is.
That's the one. So yes, Taylor, Sky, Jen, Leo, and a green or a black. Oh, great. This is where it's going to get good. I need like a wild card here. Last one, I would probably pick Trip from Time Force because he was also an intelligent.
You already picked Time Force.
Ah,
You picked Jen.
You picked Jen. Yes.
damn it.
Strike that from the
Oh,
record.
I lose. All right. Damn. Green or black? Who would it be? I would go Adam.
Okay.
Turbo.
Okay.
Because I think by that point, I think he's the more experienced ranger. I think an experienced soldier, I would have Adam.
May I throw a substitute in there for you if you're looking for a leader? Black Dino Thunder.
I had him, and I was like, I can't pick Thomas.
You can.
I can't pick
You
Thomas.
can pick Tom.
I think that's like my elite Survivor Series team right here.
Yeah.
Every Survivor Series team needs an R-Truth, though,
Especially-
you know?
Especially if he was gonna go up against Billy's like evil or rogue empire or
Yeah.
rogue group. That's a
See,
good one.
Because in that case, it could be any of them could lead the situation, right?
Oh, man,
I think Tommy would just take over leader at that point, though, right?
that's why I like my leader's Jen. That's my super soldier right there. That's like if it comes, when it comes down to like following rank and orders, I won't have Tommy because I don't think he would stay in line. You know,
Yeah.
I think he would, which is like, no, it's I'm thinking this strictly like military, follow orders. I would stick with Adam, and then the Sixth Ranger. Sixth Ranger.
You seem pretty hype on Mercury Ranger here.
Yeah, he was like an alien.
Oh, you know who was also badass is Silver in Space.
Yeah, Zane.
Oh, Zane.
Zane.
Yeah.
Zane is a solid Sixth Ranger. And he did it all on his own prior to joining the team, right?
Yeah, and then he left and then came back because he helped out that other like space kind. Randomly came back in the, I think it was like the Mega Winger.
The comic iteration of him is pretty interesting too. What that develops. I don't know if you're familiar with the comics any, but for Zane's character in this, like in the Boom universe, SPD is a thing currently in their timeline. Like it's out there deepest in space, and Andros is trying to like figure out a way to get him out of the coma. Well, somebody messes with Andros's mind to like do a certain thing, and Zane becomes what they call the Death Ranger, which is like a zombie-like Power Ranger who can infect other Rangers, attach the grid, and turn them into basic like zombie Rangers.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat. The design looks wicked too. Like that's the one thing I will give Boom Comics is like when it comes to like creating their own like Rangers or like new teams, they do a pretty good job of that.
Daggeron will be my 6th Ranger.
From Mystic.
Knight. Solaris Knight. Overall favorite Ranger, but his mentorship and his knowledge of the Mystic Arts, because we might be facing threats that are unknown. He'd be my guy, so that'll be my 6. Who you got, man?
Who I got?
Who you got, man?
Right. Well, this is gonna be, I'm gonna go a little out of the box with mine because my Pink Ranger is gonna be Jen Scott.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jen's
Feel like she's a good leader, strong. Even if she's not the
strongest.
Not the main, not the true lead, because Red's supposed to lead. My Red Ranger is gonna be Lauren Sheba.
Ooh, Samurai
Yes.
Red 2.
Yes. I like that. I feel like that's an interesting.
You're trying to build an all-girl team, aren't you?
Actually, yes, because my third pick in the draft, my Blue Ranger, is gonna be
Ninja Storm Blue.
Tori Hansen. Yes.
Really? Tori?
Yes. I feel like it'd be interesting. Like
Tori was the she was in a way the leader of that group too, because Dustin was just in his own world, and Shane was like not really fit to lead. She was the leader of the friend group.
Yeah. She was the middle ground right there. Like, 'cause he was a little too intense. Dustin was a little off the rails. Like a little too out there, and she was like the middle ground. Okay.
So in keeping with my all girl team too, my Yellow Ranger would be Trini.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like she's got some leadership qualities in her own way, and got that zen.
Wait, how are you gonna get a pink, or how are you gonna get a female 6th Ranger? Now I'm, all right. Finish your wrap. Finish your set.
I'm gonna have to go with just the guy on that one. I'll take Adam as my
Mighty Morphin Black.
Green Zeo.
Oh, Green. I guess so. Yeah. Green Zeo is gonna be more powerful.
Yeah. At this point now.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a leader, but like he's thrown in there because he's a good solid hand, brother.
Yeah. That's
a good one.
One of the best upper mid card wrestlers. Yeah. I mean, Power Rangers.
Right. So my 6th.
You know who else was a female 6? Udana. From Mystic Force. She was the white Mystic Force.
Oh,
Ranger.
Yeah. So my 6th. I think I'm going to have to go with... I think I'm going to throw my 6th man be Zane.
Silver.
Yeah. Silver from In Space.
Yeah, he was awesome.
That'd be a fun team, I think. It'd be... Not necessarily people would, again, like... I mean, Jen Scott's... We've picked her in a couple of our groups, but I feel like these guys... It's to be an interesting dynamic. A lot of leaders in there, and then just some good, maybe underrated. Just with Adam in that. Okay. In that sense.
All right.
That would be my.
So
squad.
I've got a good one for you guys. Okay. All right. Crossovers, right?
Yes.
So we love crossover episodes. Every Power Ranger fan's a big fan of crossover episodes. Yes. We loved Once a Ranger, even though the rest of the series of Overdrive is garbage. We loved Forever Red,
which for that episode.
Same.
Exactly. Forever Red might be considered the best crossover of all time. We got
Citizen Kane of Power Ranger crossover.
Yeah, there you go. What 2 seasons? They don't have to be back to back. What 2 seasons would you like to see, or 3 seasons would you like to see do a mega crossover?
Ooh. Well, straight off the rip, if I had to pick, would be SPD, Time Force, and I guess I'll throw in Space.
Okay.
Because they all link together in a way.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a cool one, and like just like, because Andros was out there before, he got that team. And just, I like the connectivity of that, and just like, I like the law enforcement aspect of it, even though it's not necessarily law. Like, one of the cool aspects. So that'd be my picks.
I would cross over. Because I want to say Alien Rangers and Ninja Steel.
Because it's like ninja crossovers.
Yeah, almost a Ninja Space crossovers. Like it because Alien Rangers were aliens here, but in Japan
but they were ninjas.
But like if we can have that alien dynamic with ninja powers crossover with Ninja Steel, that'll be my pick.
And Ninja Steel?
Yes,
Ooh,
Ninja Steel.
What about Ninja Steel and Ninja Storm?
Ooh, that would be a great one.
Right?
So interesting. I think like the first 2 or 3 episodes, I forgot which one, of Ninja Steel. I guess they were supposed to have a crossover where they use, I think, the mini Zord.
From Ninja Steel,
so
Ninja Storm.
When the Zord comes out, you'll see the Ninja Storm logo just pop up.
That's wild.
Outside of the Zord, and then that's the only time they mention of it. So that'll be a unique one.
That would have been cool. Ninja Steel, Ninja Storm, and Alien Ranger, knowing it's ninja related.
Absolutely.
And who would bring them together? Obviously, Ninjor.
Yeah, Ninjor. Yeah,
right.
Ninjor, yeah.
That fits. I like it. That'd be the mentor, or like,
and the hamster, Ninjor, and the hamster. Come on,
yeah.
The hamster leader. This is that's peak.
If you can get past that, like mentally, that season, I love that season. But they were doing anything they could to get whatever hot topic was going on at the time.
We could have this old guy be everybody's sensei, or a hamster.
A gerbil? Right. What about a guinea pig? Let me throw this out there.
Think about it.
That'd be the counter villain.
But yes, Ninjor kind of bringing them all 3 together.
So in SPD, you see all these like old suits. In a lot of these seasons, you see old suits, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is outside of the fan theory box. It's because Disney did not want to pay to create new suits, new helmets, new anything like that. So they wanted to keep it as cheap as possible. Yeah. And that's why we have in-space helmets on SPD Alpha. That's why we have Time Force suit used for Sky's dad.
Yeah, the flashbacks,
right? And stuff like that. Which if Disney would have just coughed up, whatever extra.
Yeah.
Half of my favorite fan theories would just be complete trashed. Like we would lose the idea that Time Force and SPD are connected. Yeah. We would lose the idea that In Space is connected to
Lost Galaxy?
to that whole theory, right?
Yeah.
So,
Space, SPD, Time Force. That's like our chronological order right there.
Yeah.
So we would definitely lose that.
It would have ruined all of it.
If they would have coughed up some extra dough and made like new suits and stuff like that, that would have got rid of it.
Oh, to dovetail back though to my almost all female team, I forgot one that I could have used. Wait, did I use? I didn't use one from SPD already. I could have used
Cat Ranger.
Cat
Max.
The Nova Ranger too was a girl.
Yeah.
Was Nova Ranger a girl?
Yeah,
Nova
there
Ranger?
was
female. Silver.
She was
SPD.
Oh, yeah.
They had a lot of Rangers in that season, but I just a random one I looked up and saw.
Dog.
But
Commander Kruger.
If Disney would have put in the money, that seems to be a running theme though. With
anything Power Rangers. Doesn't even have to be Saban.
So weird.
So Beetleborgs never got a Power Ranger crossover, right?
No.
Like even though Ninja Turtles did, and so did Mask Rider.
Yes.
Right. There was a theory that I heard, or more so like a fan booking, I guess, that somebody had in their mind that so there was a fourth Ranger, I guess, in a way, in Beetleborgs where they had the white one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before that happened, Turbo had already broken off. right? And we're already in space at this point. So what if instead of the kid they used for that, which they only used him for a half dozen episodes or so,
Literally, probably like 4 or 5 episodes,
right? So what if instead Justin moved to the city they were in? And because the turbo powers he couldn't use the turbo powers anymore, they did that. Well, this person's theory was, what if they had a crossover episode where Justin is vacationing and ends up in their town? And
dope.
Like he still doesn't have the powers, but they're in a fight scene or whatever, and they're they're losing or whatever, and Justin steps up and helps them fight, and they're just like awed by it, and they like drop their, the bad guy, retreats, and they morph down or whatever, and just like when he goes, "Whoa, you guys are the Power Rangers," he goes, "Whoa, you guys are the Beetleborgs," and they bring him back to the castle, and they have Flabber look at a Power Rangers Turbo comic book, and temporarily give him the powers of the Blue Turbo, just so he can help them destroy this last monster or whatever the case was, before he goes back from vacation with his dad.
That'd be rad, dude. I like that.
But I think the thing within Beetleborgs was once it's yin and yang. So if you do something for the sake of good, it comes with a little bad in it.
Oh, so then you would bring a turbo monster back to life potentially.
Yes. Like, so, okay, if Curse of the Shadowborg, they created the White Blaster Beetleborg to combat that. So once they destroyed the Shadowborg, he lost his powers because it was yin and yang. So essentially, like, if you were to bring Justin back his powers, there's something that might come with it. Like,
And maybe when they destroy that turbo, like maybe they destroy a villain, like it's a 2-parter, let's say. Yeah. But because of them bringing back his turbo powers, they bring back a turbo villain. Yeah. And now they have to destroy that turbo villain. Yeah. Together. And that, after they destroy the villain, his power vanishes, or he gives up his power willingly, so more turbo villains won't come back. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that was like somebody's like booking situation. I was like, oh, that would have been tight as hell.
You said you had one. Did you have a Beetleborg one?
Yeah, I want to bring this back. So this is what I want to bring back.
Bring it back around.
So in the second season of Beetleborgs, the guy who is drawing the monsters, or the guy who creates the monsters or helps them create the monsters or whatever, is the brother of the illustrator of the main comic, right?
Okay.
And eventually at the end of the season, he's like, nah, I don't want to help you bad guys anymore. I'm not going to draw up any more monsters, right? What if, because if you look carefully at the Beetleborgs that are in Forever Red, some of them are like pieces of one guy and parts of the other, right? Yeah. So what if the villains that lead to Forever Red, or Zed, or whoever may be in that situation, find the guy and use old Power Ranger technology, like or old villain technology, like Rita's staff or something, to have him create those for them, because they saw how good these Beetleborgs were, but they convinced that the bad guy to redraw them, but all he has is scraps. So he's just putting pieces together.
I like that.
Right? And he's like, all right, cool. So like, I think this was the helmet that goes here. And that was definitely the body parts. So all he has is scraps of an old comic that his brother had ripped up. Yes. Because like, whatever.
I like that. Bridging the gap there. I like that.
Right? And then, so now they have the powers brought like from the evil brother who's in prison. Like maybe I don't know.
Yeah. So you've heard some of our fan fiction, Nova.
Yeah.
What's something from Power Rangers lore that you would like to see like expanded into like a story or season or what have you?
Story or season? I mean,
what situation would you like to see unfold?
Man, the Billy lore we created on this episode, I think is fascinating.
Right. I'm legit probably gonna outline something eventually.
Yeah.
I would go back to the creation of SPD, Time Force, that gap in between, like something with Sky's dad, intertwining with SPD and in space maybe.
Yeah.
I would like a Dragon Ball Z Bardock type episode, but with Sky's dad.
Oh man.
You know, what villains could we could explore with that, or what story we could explore with that leads into the growth of SPD, and then essentially, you know, Time Force. What else could we go back on? I'm big on like Bardock, like those old prequel kind of stories for like old relatives and the powers they had. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Ninja Steel 2, his father was a Power Ranger that was trapped.
Yeah. He was a different version of Red Ninja Steel. Like there was 3 in total, right?
Yeah.
And maybe, I'd like to, that'd be cool. Even if it's just a one Ranger situation or all 3 powers of Red Ninja Steel were like a core group, like a red core group, because
I like that.
Right? Because not all like I don't know, like the military, they don't wear different color uniforms, right? Yeah. They're all in the same uniform.
Yeah.
So what if it's just like that was the thing, and the only difference is your ranking, and that's what those sashes were or something?
What if that were to tie into like Ninja Storm essentially in the Wind Academy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
What if they had some kind of connection between those two, like the Ninja Steel Red and the Ninja Storm dojos?
Just that like I was gonna say this earlier for like the SPD and Time Force and all that. There's just so much you can play around with lore wise if you like wanted to create a story. I think that's one of my favorite things about those seasons, because like, I mean, even the comic books didn't tap into a lot of that lore. I mean, they've done some stories, but man, it's just like,
back around it. None of that lore would exist if Disney wasn't being cheap.
Oh my god!
The one time it makes sense that they're cheap, like that we benefited from them being cheap. Another one would be, I guess, Lightspeed Rescue. That the captain, maybe some experimental Power Ranger power with him, like
Kruger.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Kruger was, I think, SPD.
SPD was the dog.
You know, I forget his name. It was Captain something. But if we had like maybe either previously or maybe after the fact, like maybe there was he had some kind of power or kind of morpher designed for him in case of emergency, you know, because he had the deal with his son. I think I'm sure they buried the hatchet, but what if in some alternate universe where the Titanium Ranger stood evil, you know? Yeah. And the only way to combat that is his father becoming a Power Ranger to fight him. Mm-hmm. You know?
That'd be interesting.
That'd be some deep storytelling there. So that's where I'm big on like the relatives
legacy
who were Power Rangers, who kind of like are around or kind of vanished, you know, being a Power Ranger and that kind of like power passed down, like exploring kind of those layers of
like Tyler's dad in Dino Charge, who comes back to be a Ranger at a different point. That was always cool too to me. Like
since we're also entering close to the timeline for SPD, because like you said, it was 2025.
No, that's RPM.
RPM.
RPM's next year. The Fall of Humanity is next year, ladies and gentlemen.
I would like to see how they would deal with like a JJ story, like the in canon, the in universe.
No, I'm sorry, it is SPD that takes place in 2025. My brain is off. 2009 is when RPM takes place.
Right, the in-universe son of Kat and Tommy. I'd like to see how that would work out, like the legacy thing, because it's like, my dad's like the greatest Power Ranger of all time, and like,
how do you live up to that?
Right,
like, how do you fill those shoes?
Almost. I got a good one for you. How would you book Jenna Frank taking over for Tommy?
Ooh.
Okay. That's a good one.
So for those who don't know, Jenna Frank is the daughter, one of the daughters of Jason David Frank, obviously the Green Ranger who passed
R.I.P.
just last year. Was it last year?
Last year.
But she's always talked about how she wants to be in Power Rangers and she would want to be a Green Ranger like her dad. How would you write into a storyline that Jenna took over for Tommy without it being like Tommy died and here's his daughter? Like,
right.
Thomas
I feel
Oliver.
like she would have to be.
It always comes back to Tom.
Thomas Oliver steps in as the stepdad kind of
Stepdad-ish.
actual
Are we?
dad.
Uncle.
Are you making Jenna Frank's character? Are you making that character the actual like a daughter in canon for Tommy?
See, that could be an option.
Yeah.
I mean, in Power Rangers, they would find the cheapest way of doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like, logically, if it was Power Rangers, if it was Saban, she would move into a house and find this weird box in an attic.
Yeah.
And inside of it was
the
morpher.
powerful weapon here on Earth. Alien technology is just stored in a box in the attic.
It's a pair of like Puma shoe box.
Oh my god!
Hiding somewhere.
And
like
I'm only
that.
mad because that's something I'd probably do because I just put everything in boxes and just store it away.
Yeah.
That is kind of like I think either it was in a shoebox or like he put it deep in the closet and Soul of the Dragon. Like his morpher's just like buried away somewhere. Just like here it is.
Yeah.
I think I think she would have to be in my story just off the cuff. She'd have to be like a cousin. I think. Just like a far off
Or a
relative.
niece or something like that.
Yeah, we could do that. That could work too. A niece.
Because like age-wise, it'd be really odd to have like a 50-year-old. You know.
Right. So yeah, a niece instead of just being like, oh, that's his daughter. Because if we're gonna play it, like, as you could do that, I guess, but you'd have to wiggle like in canon, you have to wiggle around. Okay, well, when did Kat and Tommy have this daughter, and then JJ? Like, we don't really hear about the daughter, so like, yeah, it had to be a niece.
Yeah.
And she just finds the power, so where, like he just finds his morpher. Kind of similar to the Trini's daughter in Once and Always, I guess.
It's a weird secret to keep. Yeah, you know your mom was a Power Ranger, right?
That's literally how the scene went.
Yeah,
she's like, "What is this?" And it's like, "All right, we got to tell her, Bill."
Yeah, she walked in on Zach and Billy arguing whether or not they should tell her.
Yeah, it's
or
like,
not,
tell me what.
Yeah, it's like,
tell me what.
You ever heard of the Power Rangers?
Mom's a Power Ranger. Yeah.
Wait.
That would be that. Yeah, she would be that. Or we could. Yeah, she could find the power. Or here's one. Since Scorpina is just was just vanished. They don't really say what happened to her in the show.
Yeah. Scorpina didn't really get destroyed.
Yeah, she could be off. She could come back and be like, I'm gonna finish what Rita started, and Rita didn't have like the nerve to do. I'm gonna take over, and then she could make Jenna's character, the niece, an evil Green Ranger. We can start that. We can stubtail that to being like, hey, your uncle started this way. That'd be neat.
But wouldn't Scorpina be like dead after Countdown to Destruction if she's?
We don't know where she was.
Oh, or maybe she was turned good after Countdown to Destruction.
Yeah, we don't that too, or we don't know, but we don't know where she was in comic book lore. They've Rita banished her off to the dark dimension with Lokar, and like she's just off there.
So what if piggybacking off that, let's say we have good Rita after Countdown to the Destruction.
Yeah.
Instead of green with an evil, what if Jenna is actually evil and turns good?
All right.
No mind control necessary.
No, what if she's already like either a delinquent or some kind of
like she's just like problematic.
Yeah.
She uses the Green Ranger power to rob banks. Something
like,
wild,
or just like adjusting to like, here's this problematic child, here's the former evil witch who becomes good and takes her in almost.
Because I know fan lore turned like Mystic Mother. Is Rita.
Yeah.
And they've played with that in the comics too, so that would be.
Oh yeah. So it's
Rita's
green,
Mystic Mother,
green with good, and then you have this delinquent, problematic child, and Rita takes her in, tries to make her turn a new leaf, gives her the power, and instead of doing good, she does the opposite, and she starts off bad, and
what if, and off that, what if JJ tries to take the power too from her? Because it's his dad's power coin.
Oh, so
That'd be interesting.
What if JJ has the white power and
okay,
she has the green, and
I
eventually they have to work together?
yeah.
I like that.
I would have them enemies first, leading into working together. Like
It would almost be like Ninja Storm, where they're like two completely different fighting, and then they finally realize they need to be on the same page because there's a bigger evil.
Yeah. There you go.
I think that. Here we are, dude. Again, Hasbro.
We're right here, brother.
We are here. I will gladly take all weekends off of wrestling to work.
Brother, I'll give you a hint. Listen, wrestling's not real. All right, but this is.
This Power Rangers is very
we can
real.
Very make this real. All we need is your cooperation and money.
Right.
But yeah, I like that. I like that kind of like, okay, sibling rivalry over one power coin.
Yeah.
Maybe one takes it, becomes evil, and then that's where the White Ranger power resurfaces. And we can go in that causes the conflict between the siblings. And then who knows? Oh wait, no. Were the Dino Gems destroyed? At the end of they used up the Dino Gems power to be Mesagog, right?
Yeah, but Operation Overdrive reconnects the morphing grid and essentially makes everyone before them have their powers working again.
Okay.
That's why in Once a Ranger, Adam can be the Black Ranger again, and Tori is yellow. And the weird thing of it in that one is that they bring Bridge back to be, Bridge to be the Red Ranger. Because when they pulled him from the future, when he came back from the future, he was the head of SPD.
Yeah, because he ends with he was green that becomes blue at the end of SPD, and Sky becomes red, and then they pull him from becoming from blue to red, and then they brought him back in time.
In the ultimate form of fan fiction that was almost an actual series, let's talk about Hexagon.
Oh, I've been waiting to talk about this. So
Hexagon.
Hexagon is what they were going to do with Ninja Storm. And this was written by the writers of Wild Force. They wanted to get darker and deeper, and they wanted something like different. They knew the source material was Rangers versus Rangers at one point, so it gave them the opportunity to do like a CIA versus Rogues type situation. So Hexagon was going to be this huge building that's 6-sided to indicate 6 Rangers, like as a throwback to 6 Rangers. It was going to be ran by Tommy. So Tommy was going to be the leader of this group. This is literally one season after Wild Force, and I think that's why they cut Tommy saying he'd like retired from being a Power Ranger to in that, because they had plans that the next season could lead to Hexagon. So Tommy was going to lead the core 3, the red, yellow, and blue. And then there was going to be a team of Rogue Rangers, and this was going to have a lot of past Rangers coming back in. But that team was going to be led by Jason. So Jason was going to lead the wind or the Hurricane Rangers, or the
Hurricane, Thunder Rangers.
Thunder Rangers.
Thunder Rangers, and then the Wind Rangers.
And the Wind Rangers. So, and the powers for all of them were going to be handed down by Ninjor. So, which makes sense because they're ninjas.
Lead Ninjor.
Then eventually Green Samurai in Ninja Storm was going to be like the ultimate, like he was like a double-sided ranger. That's the reason his vest came off and his helmet flipped around. So without the vest, he's rogue, and with the vest, he's like Tommy's ultimate like Green Ranger, because the vest looks so similar.
Homage to it.
Obviously this got scrapped because Disney bought it, and they said, Oh, that's great. Throw it the fuck away. But
these are children. We're selling toys.
We're selling toys, pal.
That, and we don't want to make the budget for that because I know they were. Yeah, I was going to tie up loose ends from previous seasons too. They're going to bring back old characters and villains and all this stuff because it was going to be like that secret hub of like, hey, I'm going to like have the Ultimate Ranger team, which is going to be everybody essentially.
And you would get this like, are they rogue or are they in line type situation? You have a whole bunch of different Rangers that were like more on the gray scale of things, that would be teaming with Jason's team until they all ended up having to team up together to fight an ultimate evil.
Billy.
But the rotor, oh my God, if it was Billy, I would have lost my mind.
That's
this is the beginning of Once a Ranger.
Look at that. As he got sidetracked.
Yeah, as I've been sidetracked yet again. But the guy who wrote it, who wrote Hexagon, eventually after Disney basically said, go fuck yourself to him and fired him, he said, screw this. I'm writing it up. I'm going to let people know what the idea was, and I'm going to throw it on Ranger Board, if I remember correctly, which was
Ranger Board, baby.
It was like the Power Ranger forum go-to spot.
Yeah, I've seen PDFs of this Hexagon and like the proposed ideas.
Yeah, and it's crazy, like what they were wanting in this, or what could have been.
Mm-hmm. God, that'd have been fascinating to watch.
Yeah,
it'd have been cool to see Jason back again and Tommy too.
Mm-hmm. I think just being a kid watching the story and growing older and just being like kind of like you're kind of almost looking for more depth to what you've been like so dedicated to. Like you want more of this story. You want to go deeper. Like I think their age group stays the same, but like as you get older, you stick with it in hopes that like it'll get deeper and kind of grow. Like the story grows even more. So I think what Hexagon would have been like a fantastic way like to transition from that like that pre-prototype for Ranger, like Power Ranger seasons and stuff like that, and then switch over to a more in-depth growing, like the audience is growing, let's grow the show with it, you know?
Because I don't need a super, super dark like Power Rangers TV show or something where they're like cursing, swearing, doing drugs, something like that. But like I would like, some adult, more mature things.
They're about to pull out Rita and Zed's kids about to pop up.
Oh my God.
What was his name?
Oh man.
It wasn't anything to sound like either of them. It was like one of these like
Valtrax or something.
Valtrax, yeah, some
shit like that.
It was just like
there it goes right there, the egg of Zed.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I just think like that would have been so cool to have this dark thing, because I think like Power Ranger fans in most cases have that age gap, right? You have that age group that it's intended for.
Wow.
But just like anything else, there's still going to be adult fans. Star Wars, like there's kids Star Wars shows, and then you have these grown ass adults who are like, they're like, oh, this is it doesn't make any sense. Why would Chewbacca be driving a pod racer or something like that? Yeah, right. And you're like, because it's for 5-year-olds and so they can sell toys.
Yes.
Right. Like they don't make Ninja Steel costumes in adult sizes for a reason. Right? Yeah. If you go to the party store or the Halloween store to get costumes, they're going to have the current ones for your kids and they're going to have the old ones for us. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You're gonna find Mighty Morphin, and then you're gonna find a horror version of Mighty Morphin as well. Yeah. Like
or the cheap, like freaking
Thrax.
Sunglasses.
That's what it was. Thrax. It makes no sense.
Thrax. No. Look at him on the moon.
But yeah, I mean, I felt this philosophy with like Batman, how there's like Batman for really little kids, and then there's the Batman for the adults, like the movies and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like any media, like if you want to make money, I feel like you should be able to cater to them. I feel Power Rangers can do that. Like again, you don't need to go super dark.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Like I know a lot of people love that Adi Shankar short film, and like he swears up and down it's a parody of dark and gritty reboots. But I'm calling sus on that because I feel like you did it super serious, and now you're just adding stuff. But anyway, you don't need something like that. But like have it like a Marvel type of where you get in-depth storytelling.
Like you could even so much as if you don't want to. I get they're cheap now with this license, which is weird because the toys make so much, but like a Marvel's What If style animation, you know,
that would be fun. Yeah,
for Power Rangers Hexagon, or you go into those in-depth stories to kind of cater to that audience without having to.
The comics touch on that sort of thing a little bit too. Yeah. Like I know Kyle Higgins, he said he wrote Power Rangers like how it made him feel as a kid, as opposed to what it actually was.
Yeah.
And then that sort of dovetailed to him creating Radiant Black and making it more like an adult thing. It's like, hey, I'm a 30-year-old man who's got like bills to pay and I'm broke. What do? I got these strange powers too. How do I use these things? But like, yeah, in Power Rangers, like, I feel there's a lot of depth you could like sink into and go.
There's a lot just left on the table for the sake of let's not smarten up the show and keep it at the same keep it stagnant for the sake of those 8 to 9 year old kids. Like we're just selling toys to, like that was their only motive here, rather than a growing story.
You can have I feel like you can do both. You can have that for the kids, like that one show. Like some people might think it'd be oversaturation. I know they're trying to reboot Power Rangers in general. I don't know. Again, I don't know if they're gonna reboot in entirety, as in start from scratch. And not like without Sentai and just make up whole new suits, or if we're going to go back to square one with Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, I would hope
or
not.
If we're just going to do the continuation of I don't even know what you would call it, but like the original series timeline of like, oh, here's a new team and like there's a history, blah blah blah.
Yeah, just that that same if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of.
Yeah. I really wish they would just go back to buying Sentai footage.
Yeah.
Creating the American scenes when they needed to and copying, pasting, because there's so many great Sentais that America's never going to get their hands on.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and like I love.
I mean, production-wise, it's an easy way to do that.
But
which they're doing in Japan too. Like in Japan, like that the Sentai, they get that depth. They get that story, but here it's just like, we don't need to get that deep.
Yeah, because I mean, freaking Time Ranger, like the Sentai equivalent, like the whole reason the story came to be was because dude found out he was gonna die. The Red Ranger, the Quantum Ranger, the Red Ranger. Yeah, he was gonna die, so he wanted to avoid all that. So he like created this whole thing where somebody else is gonna die in my place instead of me.
Yeah.
Which again could open the conundrum, but like I mean, let's get some
a little dark in there. But it's at the end of the day, kids want to buy the toys. The storylines don't matter to them as much, right? Like they're there for the bright colors. They're there for the characters, the punching, the fighting, the explosions, right? Like
But I think they don't give kids enough credit that they're smart enough to understand.
Kids are a lot more sophisticated because if you look at Countdown to Destruction, that like in space in general still holds up because the story matured as the show is going on, and they just stopped it right there. Reboot went back to the same formula they were doing in Mighty Morphin. They just kept redoing that formula rather than the growing story of where Countdown to Destruction ended a whole era of Power Rangers.
Right.
You know, the show grew in time, and then they stopped it. Recycled it.
And then I did love the connective tissue of Corone becoming the Pink Ranger that season.
Yeah.
Too, but like, we could have gotten more in depth with that character of like having to reconcile with the fact that I did a lot of evil things.
Yeah.
There was a comic book that touches on it, but like again, I want like live action or something like in the moving picture medium.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a really cool fan theory about Corone too with In Space. So like how she becomes good at the end or whatever, and so there's 6 seats in the Astro Megaship.
Yeah,
right. There's 6 seats. There's only 5 Rangers because Zane has his own Megaship, right?
Yeah.
So they bring Corone in, and she gets a uniform too, right?
Yeah.
And underneath her is purple.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So like, there's a fan theory that there's a purple in Space Ranger that just never.
That'd be dope to explore.
That's what I thought as a kid, seeing that. I'm like, oh shit, there's the first Purple Ranger.
Yep.
And then Formula stops. We're here at Lost Galaxy. She comes back as the Pink Ranger.
Because I wrestled with that whole idea of like this is a kid's property.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for all rights it is, and like Boom has done more mature storytelling, but like I feel like you can satisfy both mediums and have two separate shows. Like
You think like I mean, I would be worried that like let's say I have a 6-year-old or something at home that wants to watch Power Rangers, and Power Rangers Dark is he puts that on thinking it's the regular Power Rangers. Yeah. Right? Like I think they can do just like how you watch any kids TV show and they make adult jokes in it that like the kids are going to miss, the adults are going to get, right? And we can always do these things where it's like you have lifelong fans. You have people who've been watching since day one. You have people who've watched every season. I've watched every season up until Super Dino Charge. Like, so I've seen so much Power Rangers in my lifetime that when they make a reference to like Reefside, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Or like they make a reference to something else, you can get it. But also like if Operation Overdrive was your first season, right? I'm sorry for you. But like let's say this was your first season and they said this monster is Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa's kid. You go, I don't know what the fuck that is. Right? Yeah. He's ugly. He's scary. That's cool. Yeah. You know? And then to you, here's a bunch of Power Rangers that just show up out of nowhere and you go, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that one is. Oh, that one was in the last season that I just started watching or whatever. Like, you know, you get, the nostalgia isn't there, but most crossovers are for us, right? Yeah. They're for the fans that have been watching forever. You have like, especially big ones like this. Forever Red, I wasn't watching at the time, right? And like, but I remember watching it afterwards because someone said Tommy's in it and Jason's in it, and I said, you know, fuck it. This is the 11th season. I'm like 20 at this point. And I'm like, yeah, I fucking watch that shit. What's up? You got it on YouTube? What's the deal? Like,
I did like the fight scenes in that too, for like being like straight like original footage. That was awesome. I think that's even the too. Like, even if you take the suits and monsters and all that from the Sentai and just create your own, like they make their own fight scenes from scratch, everything, Zord fights and all that. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Too, if they would go that route.
It's like Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity Wars in 30 minutes. It's just, it should have been longer. It should have been more.
Yeah.
And there was supposed to be more meat in that episode. Yeah,
it should have been 2. It should have been 2 episodes bare minimum.
They just scrapped, and they killed Serpentera, the most powerful Megazord ever, with a bike. Like, it's just that's when it's just like, all right, let's speed this up. Yeah, I don't want to pay all these guys. Let's move on.
Let's go to New Zealand and get dirt cheap actors.
You know, but the story grew, and I think that's why, like, still to this day, because the story grew in those earlier seasons, that we are still so connected to that, because the audience grew with the show, and then they just, again, to go back, they just stopped that and they went back to the beginning formula.
It would have been nice. It would be nice if like Power Rangers touched on death, because I mean Super Sentai does it.
They did.
It's different cultures and stuff, but
Pink
like
Galaxy.
True, that was once in a blue moon, but like I feel like we need more of that. We need more good storytelling, because again, I feel like they dumb it down for kids. It's a kid show. Yeah, but kids are a lot smarter. I mean,
sophisticated than adults, and that's which is so weird, because like you had,
like,
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
The animated series was really adult.
Yes,
for the kid show. I mean, there's kid elements, but like
100%, there was a whole lot of
the style of that got me into film noir.
Yeah,
really. Yeah. So like, I feel like we shouldn't.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Baby kids. Too much in that.
Another great example of like shows that it's ghost stories and stuff like that.
One final question before we start wrapping up here.
Go home, brother.
Yes.
This dude was tight. Xander might have been the only one I liked in Mystic Force.
He was from New Zealand. Those
they were all from New Zealand.
I know, but his accent was the thickest New Zealand accent. So that's why, like, I was like, oh man, this guy's cool. I love, my favorite color is green. Yeah. And he had the one suit where he was on the gas, the boxing gloves.
Oh yeah.
And just that thick New Zealand accent. So like as a Ranger and just as a character in general, he's like one of my favorites. So sorry to sidetrack.
Yeah,
What was
I
it
know,
going
I-
on? Right, so Xander came on the screen, and
I completely blanked on what I was about to ask.
the
or
baby
what
face pop. You know,
my closing question to you guys.
That's the best part right here.
brother, look at that.
So good.
That was it.
Hell
There he
yeah.
is.
I remember watching this and somebody said like there's a bunch of Power Rangers that came back and I went, oh fuck, it's Zach. I'm so stoked.
I legit only watched because of this episode.
Yeah.
same.
For that, I was like, oh man.
I feel like we should do a rewatch of this.
I feel like
Like a watch, like we rewatch this and then we talk about it while it's going on.
To
Speaking
those,
of which,
to
we
those
are-
listening, sorry, it's Once a Rangers on the screen right now.
It's
Yes.
the only good Operation Overdrive
we are
episodes.
gonna do a series review of RPM.
Yes.
Tori, she's so fucking.
So I feel like we should
I gotta
do.
go back and
that's
start
gonna be
watching.
that's gonna be one if we're gonna do it in like a month or so. I feel like give us enough time to all watch it when we
Yeah.
have time and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Are we
yeah.
Are we gonna start bad or are we gonna start like? Oh, or do you want to start with one of the new seasons that we? I don't know.
Oh,
you
we
said-
have no context to.
Yeah.
If we can find it, that'd be
Like-
fun.
I mean, you could watch what are they called? Dino Fury on. Did you guys watch Dino Fury?
I have not. Wait,
No.
China
Okay,
wait,
cool.
Which ones?
Dino
That's the
Fury is
Hasbro one, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I haven't
Okay, that was
seen
one of the
Okay.
most recent ones.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
With
No,
the
Cool.
Beige Ranger.
So let's start with something we haven't seen because I've seen everything up until
Yeah.
Ninja Steel.
Like I dipped in and out every now and again. Like I've watched episodes.
I came back to Ninja Steel because
Yeah.
the Pink Ranger mainly, but
Yeah.
I love that. I love the story. It made me. It was one of those seasons that just reminded me, like, okay, this is what I loved about Power Rangers.
Mhm.
right.
Like,
So let's watch Dino Fury. Do you want to watch Dino Fury and Super Dino Fury, or do you want to watch just?
Yeah,
Dino
let's watch. It's
All right.
all the same story.
Yeah.
essentially.
Or
so, like
or here's another option.
we can always tackle them all, but like for the first one, yeah, I feel like yes.
We-
let's do a more recent season where
that
we have
none of us have
connection.
seen. Okay.
Yes.
yeah,
And then let's
We're
pull
gonna
up
get as old as
let's pull up the 5 worst seasons of Power Rangers and watch force ourselves to watch the whole
God.
season. That's if we can get them though, because I know that was it Freevee?
yeah,
or
Pluto TV has a bunch of seasons.
It has all the
Yeah.
Disney ones, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's got the Zordon era.
It does have Zordon era too.
Saban.
If not, on Etsy, I believe they have like those like Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, yeah.
DVDs of the whole seasons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find a DVD player.
I got one.
I haven't, or I had a Blu-ray player for
Yeah.
I have a
when I
Blu-ray player.
bought my house, right? And when my son was potty training, they said you let your kid walk around naked, so then when they're ready to pee, they got to tell you. It didn't work. He pissed all over the fucking Blu-ray player.
Whoever
Nice.
said that, now you got heat with Caden Green. Caden Green's coming for you, Doc.
Oh, man, so
So we're watching
cl-
just Dino Fury, not Super Dino Fury.
no, we will watch that too.
We'll watch both.
Watch it.
Yeah.
We'll watch
Yeah.
it.
All right,
and
we're
we'll-
watching both.
We'll do an overarching review of both of them because it's the same story.
Okay.
So we'll do that on the show. Now we have just now decided we're gonna do that in
Yeah.
a future episode of Vega's World.
Yeah.
Next week's episode. I have no idea. Well, actually,
We go to space, guys. Me, Caden, and JC Vega go to space, and we review space.
Our
Go to
Yo, what
Mars.
if they would have put all their weapons together in this?
oh, dude, that'd have been dope.
I don't know how it would have worked, but she had that wind blaster gun.
Yeah,
she
I
had-
mean,
That one was tight. The battle axe or power axe from Adam.
in the comic books, Shattered Grid, they meshed different seasons Zords together to
Weapons.
make it like a super Megazord.
That's what I wanted to see in that junkyard, where Billy and Finster's junkyard series
Oh,
is that
that'd
they
be-
literally go like, all right, well, we got these like this dinosaur, like this whatever. We got the legs from Mighty Morphin.
Yeah.
We got like the arms from like Ninja Storm. We've got the torso from whatever, the head from this, and then wings from another. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and they're
That'd be-
maybe left arm and right arm are different, left leg and right leg are different, and
Live
like
action, that'd be really cool.
right.
Well,
Look at this guy, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, this has been another episode of Vega's World. But next week, I'm going to be doing a review of Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Sorry.
So, can I say it a third time? He will
appear. He's here. There he is.
Say his name, and he appears.
I believe in Michael Keaton.
Mike Keaton.
Brother.
Well, tune in next week, everybody.
Oh, we gotta tell them where they can find us.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Yes.
Brother, I gotta put myself over on the internet.
Get your finger off the trigger here.
I'm ready to go. I was ready to end it. This is my shot.
He's giving us the go home.
Nothing. Never mind. Caden Green, where can we find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Music City KG, and you can find me on Whatnot, ripping wrestling cards twice a week, every Wednesday, every Sunday at Trading Card Twins.
Aaron Nova.
Not that interesting. I'm around somewhere, but you can follow me on Instagram at Aaron Nova, Twitter/X at Aaron Nova. No Facebook, Aaron Nova Pro. That's about it. I don't really post on that much. But any promoters out there listening, book us in a triple threat match. All right.
Yeah.
Book us in a triple threat match. And I'm going to tell you right now, Reg, you don't have the guts to try me.
If you wanted to try me, why don't you try me? You can find me. Forgot to add me, brother. God, you had it.
Your show.
I know. But you can find me at the JC Vega. You can find the Vegas World social media, Instagram and Twitter, Vegas World Pod.
I think so.
Vegas World Pod. With that being said, Reg, why don't you try me?
Yes.
Hey, what about Power Rangers Mega Powers? Oh yeah.
That instead of morphers, it's just a handshake.
It's a handshake.
The Mega Power, that's our trio's name. So if we don't get our triple threat match at WrestleMania, which we should,
Yeah,
we'll get different colored gear.
Our Power Rangers triple threat match, then we're going to have our trios match.
Yeah.
We need to find someone who makes sweet helmets too.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Get matching, get like different color coded gear.
We're going to Mexico, guys.
Here we go.
The Power Rangers are coming back.
All right.
Power Rangers Mega Powers coming at you. Available for bookings. Someone hit that record button.